Speaking Legal, Will, good to see you again.
Thanks, Tom.
Let's take a look at today's question. My wife has moved in with another man and has begun paying their living expenses on our joint credit card. What do I need to do to stop this? Will, what legally and nicely can she do to stop this?
Sure, so let's do this the right way,
yes,
okay? And we've talked before about clean hands doctrine and all that type of stuff. So kind of, you know, your knee-jerk reaction here is cancel her credit cards and those types of things.
Right.
Makes sense, really not the right thing to do here. She's got access, those are their joint cards, those are her cards too. But what we're doing here is we're what's called wasting the marital assets. We're incurring debt that they're both jointly liable on. Same would apply if we were going through and just withdrawing all the money from a joint bank account and transferring it. It's the same type of thing.
Right.
What she's doing is perfectly legal. She has every right to do that. So how do we stop it? We're going to have to file a divorce action. As soon as we file a divorce action, one of the things that's going to happen is the court here in Greene County, at least, is going to issue what's called an interim domestic relations order.
Okay.
By order, the parties to the lawsuit, i.e. the husband and the wife, are going to be obligated to do certain things and prohibited from doing other things. One of the things they're going to be prohibited from doing is wasting the marital assets. So unnecessarily incurring debt or giving away.
And start siphoning off things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So immediately financial assets become accountable and subject to the jurisdiction of the court.
Okay.
So that's the main thing we're going to have to do right there.
Is it okay? But you're saying main thing, but that means there are probably a little, you know, a little adjunct thing or two that you might consider.
Well, that's the legal step we need to take. Of course, the other thing that we need to do immediately is begin an accounting. We've got to start keeping track of what's going on, and with today's online access to accounts and all that, we just need to keep a good eye on what's going on there, because even the things that have happened before this point, I mean, if we can go back and, I mean, even the, you know, if the rent's paid, utility bills, those are the normal things that we're looking at. They're getting paid by this marital credit card for this new living arrangement. We can go back and say, hey, judge, now before we got the order in place, she spent $2,000 to $3,000 on all these things that went that way, and we should work out the difference of that in the property settlement when we do the divorce here.
Sure, I mean, it is very important to keep records and everything, and that is one you've got to really look into. Where are do the judges look at that fairly favorably, or?
Well, the point is that we want a fair resolution to the case. And so if you go back and say, hey, listen, you know, the assets were transferred, she already got her share here, then that's going to make a difference in the way the property is settled later. You know, one of the things that we run into a lot of times like this is we get to talking to people like this, and like, well, I don't want to file the divorce because I think maybe we can save the marriage. And I totally understand that. In fact, I'm in favor of that. We want to save marriages when we can. That's important. But the thing to keep in mind here is you can always dismiss that case later.
Right, you can rescind, have that rescinded.
Absolutely.
I mean, just because you file doesn't mean it's a done deal.
That's exactly true, and we tell people that all the time. Listen, if it's a problem right now, let's get it on file. Let's protect everything. We can dismiss it. We can put this back together, and you know, even if the divorce goes all the way through, you can get remarried. I mean, we can put this back together later, but in the situation we're dealing with right now, it's going to be important to put the protections in place as soon as possible.
So your best bet, no confrontation or anything like that. It's to consider you need to file for divorce now and then work that out later. This is the immediate concern.
Absolutely. There's
nothing, you don't go to credit card companies or, you know, cut them up or anything like that.
Yeah, well, no, you can actually kind of get into trouble there, because if then you become the person who's taking affirmative, potentially aggressive action, if you're restricting their access to funds, because then maybe she comes in and says, I was trying to buy dinner, I was trying to buy groceries, I couldn't feed myself because
you'd kind of have to prove that she's spending it on maybe this other person then.
Well, it depends on what the purchases are for. Usually there's a strong inference, you know. A lot of times in situations like this, you see utility bills or rent being paid, and it kind of proves its own point.
Okay. Well, you heard. Find an attorney. They usually have the good advice. If you have a legal question for Will, you can email him at wworsham@color10.com. He'll answer the question on the show. Thanks again, Will. Appreciate it. All right.